The impossible detection. The alarm bells rang through the monitoring station like screaming birds. Hyan-Woo jumped from his chair and stared at the screens in front of him. Numbers flashed red across every monitor. His coffee cup fell to the floor and broke into pieces. This cannot be right, he whispered to himself. The Galactic Council monitoring station hung in space like a giant metal flower. It watched the empty zone between human space and Velthari territory. For 50 years, nothing interesting had happened here. Ships passed by sometimes, but they were always small and slow. Today was different. Hyan-Woo had been working the night shift for 3 years. He knew every sound the station made. He knew every normal reading on his screens. What he saw now was not normal. It was impossible. The sensors showed a massive object moving toward them. It was huge. Its size readings said it was as big as a small moon. But that was not the strangest part. Speed readings made no sense. The object was moving at nearly the speed of light. Biora, come here quickly, Hyan-Woo called to his partner. Biora walked over from her station. She was the science officer, and much smarter than Hyan-Woo. Her long black hair was tied back in a simple way. She looked tired from the long shift. What is wrong now? She asked. Did the coffee machine break again? Look at this. Hyan-Woo pointed at his screen. Tell me what you see. Biora leaned forward and studied the numbers. Her eyes grew wide. She touched the screen as if she could not believe what she was seeing. Run the scan again, she said quietly. Hyan-Woo pressed buttons and started a new scan. The same impossible numbers appeared. The object was still there. Still moving impossibly fast. Still impossibly big. Check the other sensors, Biora said. Her voice was shaking now. They ran 2 different stations around the room. Each sensor array showed the same thing. The object was real. It was coming toward them, and it was breaking every law of physics they knew. How is this possible? Hyan-Woo asked. Nothing can move that fast. Nothing that big can exist. Biora was already calling the command center. Fleet Admiral Kijin, we need you here, right? Now, we have a situation. The Fleet Admiral arrived 10 minutes later. He was a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. His people, the Velthari, had conquered many worlds. They thought they were the strongest in the galaxy. Kijin walked like he owned the universe. What is this emergency? He asked in a bored voice. Are the humans sending more of their tiny ships? Sir, you need to see this, Biora said. She showed him the readings. Kijin looked at the numbers for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was not a happy laugh. Your machines are broken, he said. These readings are impossible. Nothing can be this big and move this fast. The humans do not have this technology. No one does. Sir, we have checked everything 3 times, Hyan-Woo said. All sensors show the same thing. The object is real. Then your sensors are all broken, Kijin said. Fix them. But even as he spoke, new alarms began to sound. The object was getting closer. The energy readings were getting stronger. Whatever was out there was not going away. Biora ran more tests. She checked the quantum sensors. She checked the gravitational detectors. She checked the electromagnetic scanners. Every single one showed the same impossible thing. Sir, she said carefully, the object is made of materials we have never seen before. The energy output is beyond anything we thought possible. It violates the laws of thermodynamics. Kijin's blue face turned darker. You are telling me that some unknown ship is breaking the laws of physics? Yes, sir. That is exactly what we are telling you. The room fell silent, except for the constant beeping of alarms. Other workers had gathered around them. Everyone stared at the screens showing impossible numbers. Where did it come from? Kijin asked. Human space, Hyan-Woo said quietly. It came from Earth's direction. The fleet admiral's forearms moved, in patterns that showed he was thinking hard. The Velthari had fought humans before. Humans were clever but weak. Their ships were small and slow. They had never shown technology like this. Maybe it is not a ship, suggested another worker. Maybe it is a natural phenomenon. No, Biora said, shaking her head. It is definitely artificial. The energy patterns are too organized. It's too controlled. Someone built this thing. As they watched, the object began to slow down. It was still moving incredibly fast, but not as fast as before. The sensors showed it was changing course slightly. It is heading for the neutral zone, Hanwoo said. Can you get a visual? Kaijin asked. Bora worked at her console. I am trying, sir. Distance is still too great for normal cameras. But I can try to enhance the image. She pressed many buttons. The main screen flickered and changed. Slowly, an image began to form. It was blurry and dark, but they could see something. The shape was unlike anything they had ever seen. It was not round like most ships. It was not long and thin like Valthari warships. It seemed to shift and change as they watched. Sometimes it looked solid. Sometimes it looked like it was made of light. What is that thing? Someone whispered.
HFY.
Do not know, Biora said, but it is beautiful in a terrible way. The object continued to slow down. As it did, the energy readings became even more impossible. It was as if the ship was drawing power from empty space itself. This changes everything, Kaijin said quietly. If the humans have this technology, then we are all in danger. Or maybe, Hyanwu said, we are about to see something amazing. The object finally stopped moving. It hung in space like a dark star. The sensors showed it was waiting. ... but waiting. For what, sir? Biora said. I am detecting communication attempts. The object is trying to contact us. Kaijin straightened up. His forearms moved in patterns that showed he was nervous but trying to hide it. Open communications, he ordered. Room filled with tension? Everyone knew that whatever happened next would change the galaxy forever. The impossible ship from human space was about to speak. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Hyanwu realized that this was not just any human ship. This was something that should not exist. Something that defied every law of nature they knew. The Terran Battleship Defiance had announced itself to the galaxy in the most spectacular way possible. First contact protocols shattered, the communication screen flickered to life. A human face appeared on the display. The man looked calm and relaxed, as if he was sitting in his living room instead of commanding an impossible ship. This is Captain Taehyun of the Terran vessel Defiance, the human said. His voice was steady and clear. I request permission to speak with your station commander. Fleet Admiral Kejian stared at the screen. His four blue arms moved in nervous patterns. Around the room, other aliens whispered to each other. They had never seen a human look so confident. I am Fleet Admiral Kaijin, he said, trying to sound important. You are in violation of galactic law. No ship of your size is allowed in neutral space. Explain yourself immediately. Captain Taehyun smiled. It was a small, quiet smile that somehow made everyone more nervous. Admiral, I understand your concern, but I think you misunderstand what you were seeing. May I ask what your sensors are? Telling you about my ship? Biora looked at her readings again. The numbers were still impossible. She cleared her throat and spoke. Our ship shows energy output levels that violate thermodynamic laws. The materials register as unknown to our databases. The size readings indicate your vessel is roughly the size of a small moon. And the propulsion system, Taehyun asked. Hyanwu checked his screens. We detect no propulsion system at all. Yet you were moving at near light speed just minutes ago. That is correct, Taehyun said. The Defiance does not use traditional propulsion. We manipulate quantum foam itself. We create matter from pure energy and bend space-time without exotic matter. The room fell silent. Several aliens looked at each other with confused expressions. What the human was describing was impossible. That is not possible, Kaijin said firmly. No species has that technology. It violates fundamental laws of physics. Admiral, with respect, you are thinking too small, Taehyun said. On Earth, we learn that the fundamental laws of physics are more like suggestions. They can be changed if you know how to ask properly. A new voice came from behind Captain Taehyun. A human woman appeared on the screen. She had short black hair and wore a white coat. This is Dr. Yunji, our chief scientist, Taehyun said. Perhaps she can explain better than I can. Dr. Yunji stepped forward, looked excited like a teacher about to share something wonderful with her students. Hello. Everyone, she said cheerfully. I know this is confusing. Let me try to explain in simple terms. You see, most species work within the laws of physics. You build faster ships, stronger weapons, better computers, but you never question the laws themselves. She paused and smiled. Humans are different. When we found out our planet was dying, we had to think differently. We could not just build better ships. We had to learn to rewrite reality itself. That is impossible, Biora said quietly. Is it? Dr. Yunji asked. Your sensors tell you our ship exists. Your readings show energy levels that should not be possible. Yet here we are. What does that tell you? Another human appeared on the screen. This one was younger and wore a military uniform. This is Weapons Officer Dongmin, Captain Taehyun said. Would you like a small demonstration? Before anyone could answer, Dongmin closed his eyes and placed his hands on a control panel. The panel began to glow with soft blue light. Monitoring station's external cameras, they watched something incredible happen. A large asteroid that had been floating nearby began to move. It moved slowly at first, then faster. It spun in a perfect circle, then formed a figure-8 pattern. Are you doing that? Hyenwu asked in amazement. I am not touching the asteroid, Dongmin said, his eyes still closed. I am thinking at it. The ship's neural interface connects my thoughts to the quantum manipulation system. The asteroid moves because I want it to move. The asteroid suddenly stopped moving. It hung in space exactly where it had been before, as if nothing had happened. That was just a small example, Captain Taehyun said. The Defiance is not just a ship. It is a mobile reality anchor. It can rewrite the laws of physics in our immediate vicinity. Kaijin's blue face had turned almost purple. You expect us to believe that humans have learned to control reality itself? I do not expect you to believe anything, Taehyun said calmly. I expect you to look at the evidence. Your sensors do not lie. Your readings are accurate. We are exactly what we appear to be? Dr. Yunji spoke again. Admiral, may I ask about your species' history with quantum mechanics? We understand quantum mechanics well enough, Kaijin said stiffly. But do you manipulate quantum foam directly? She asked. Do you draw energy from the vacuum of space itself? No one can do that, Biora said. The energy requirements would be infinite. It's only if you try to do it the hard way, Dr. Yunji said with a laugh. We learn to ask the universe nicely, instead of trying to force it. Much easier. Captain Taehyun looked serious again. Admiral, we did not come here to frighten you. Came here to introduce ourselves properly. Humanity is ready to take our place in the galactic community. And if we refuse to accept you? Kaijin asked. What? Then you refuse, Taehyun said simply. We will not force anything, but we will not hide either. The galaxy is about to change, whether you want it to or not. A new alarm began to sound. Hyunwoo checked his sensors and his eyes grew wide. Sir, I am detecting more ships approaching. They are coming from human space. 5 of them, all showing the same impossible readings as the Defiance. Those are my escort ships, Taehyun said. Did I forget to mention them? The monitoring station screens now showed 6 impossible ships hanging in space. Each one was massive. Each one defied physics. Each one was completely silent and still. This is first contact, Captain Taehyun said quietly. Humanity has arrived. Around the room, aliens stared at the screens in stunned silence. Everything they thought they knew about the universe had just changed forever. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Hyenwu realized that this was only the beginning. The Velthari Challenge 3, hours after the human ships arrived, Fleet Admiral Kaijin stood in his private command chamber. His 4 blue arms moved in angry patterns as he spoke into his communication device. You heard me correctly, Supreme. Commander, he said. The humans have ships that break the laws of physics. They claim they can rewrite reality itself. The voice that came back was cold and harsh. That is impossible, Kaijin. Humans are weak. Their technology is primitive. We have studied them for decades. With respect, Supreme Commander, you need to see this for yourself. These ships are unlike anything we have ever encountered. Then we will destroy them, the Supreme Commander said. Send word to Battlefleet 7. Tell them to intercept these human ships and remove them from our space. Sir, I do not think that is wise, Kaijin said carefully. Perhaps we should try diplomacy first. Diplomacy? The Supreme Commander's voice rose. The Velthari do not negotiate with inferior species. We conquer them. Send the fleet. The communication ended. Kaijin stared at the blank screen for a long moment. He had a bad feeling about this. Meanwhile, aboard the Defiance, Chief Engineer So Young stood in the engineering section. The room was filled with devices that hummed with quiet energy. Curved walls displayed flowing patterns of light that looked almost alive. Minho, come here, she called to her assistant. I want to show you something. Minho was a young human with curious eyes. He had joined the Defiance crew only 2 months ago and was still learning about their incredible technology. What is it? He asked. The Velthari are sending a war fleet toward us, So Young said calmly. 23 ships, including their newest dreadnought. They will be here in 4 hours. Minho's eyes grew wide. Should we run? It was a warm, friendly sound. Run? Why would we run? This will be educational. She walked to a control panel and placed her hand on it. Ow. The panel began to glow with soft white light. Watch this, she said. I am adjusting our defensive parameters. The quantum manipulation field is now set to absorb any energy directed at us. Absorb energy? Minho asked. Yes, when they shoot at us, their weapons will make us stronger. Energy from their attacks will be converted into additional ship mass and power. Minho shook his head in amazement. How is that possible? Everything is energy, So Young explained. Matter is just energy in a different form. When you can manipulate quantum foam directly, you can convert energy into matter, and matter into energy at will. Their attacks will just give us more raw material to work with. On the bridge, Captain Tehine sat in his command chair. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. The bridge was designed to be calm and peaceful, not like the military bridges of other species. Captain, said Communications Officer Heijin, we are receiving a transmission from the approaching Velthari fleet. Put it through, Tehine said. The main screen showed a Velthari commander with dark blue skin and angry red eyes. His name appeared at the bottom of the screen, Battle Commander Vexstar. Human vessels, Vexstar said in a harsh voice. You are trespassing in Velthari space. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Commander Tehine said politely, we are in neutral space, not Velthari territory. We have broken no laws. Your very existence breaks natural law, Vexstar snarled. No species should have technology like yours. We will not allow it. I see, Tehine said sadly. So you choose violence over understanding. You choose strength. Over weakness, Vexstar replied. Prepare to die. The transmission ended. Tehine sighed and looked at his crew. Navigator Junsuk plot a course through their formation. Nice and slow. Let them get a good look at us. Sir, Junsuk said, they have weapons that can crack planets. Are you sure this is wise? Trust me, Tehine said with a small smile. This will be over quickly. The Velthari fleet arrived exactly 4 hours later. 23 massive warships spread out in attack formation. Each ship was kilometers long and armed with weapons that could destroy entire cities. Battle Commander. Vexstar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. Around him, his crew prepared for battle. Target the largest human ship, he ordered. All weapons, maximum power, fire. The Velthari fleet opened fire. Beams of energy that could melt mountains struck the Defiance from every direction. Space around the human ship lit up like a new sun. When the light faded, the Defiance was still there. It had not moved. It had not even been scratched. Impossible, Vexstar whispered. Fire again. All ships. Continuous fire. The Velthari fleet fired again and again. Energy beams, plasma bolts, and quantum torpedoes all struck the human ship. The attack continued for 10 minutes without stopping, when they finally stopped firing. The Defiance was not only undamaged, it was bigger. The ship had grown by nearly 20%. Thank you, Captain Tehine's voice came over the communication system. That was very helpful. Our ship needed more mass, and your weapons provided it perfectly. On the engineering deck, So Young. smiled as she watched the energy conversion readings. Minho, do you see? Every shot they fired has been converted into ship material. We are actually stronger now than when we started. This is incredible, Minho said. But why are we not fighting back? Because we do not need to, So-Young said. Watch. Navigator Jun-Suk began to pilot the Defiance forward. The massive ship moved slowly and calmly toward the Velthari fleet. As it approached, something strange began to happen. The Velthari ships started to shake. Their engines flickered and died. Their weapon systems went offline. One by one, the warships began to drift helplessly in space. What is happening? Vexstar screamed into his communicator. Why are our systems failing? Gravitational anomalies, his science officer reported. The human ship is creating localized distortions in space-time.
Ow.
Our ships cannot function in this environment. The Defiance continued to move through the Velthari formation. It did not fire a single weapon. It did not need to. The very presence of the ship was enough to disable every vessel it passed. How are you doing this? Vexstar demanded over the communication system. We are not doing anything aggressive, Captain Tehan replied. Our ship naturally affects the quantum foam around it. Your technology cannot function in an altered quantum environment. This is impossible, Vexstar said weakly. Commander Tehan said gently. Nothing is impossible. Some things are just more difficult than others. Your fleet is not destroyed. Your crews are not harmed. But your ships will not work properly. Until you move away from us. The Defiance completed its journey through the Velthari formation. Behind it, 23 of the galaxy's most powerful warships floated helplessly in space. Not a single shot had been fired by the human vessel. Is Captain Tehan, to all Velthari vessels, came the calm voice over the communicator. Move your ships at least 1,000 kilometers away from our position. Your systems will return to normal once you are outside our quantum field. Slowly, using emergency thrusters, the Velthari ships began to move away. Main systems came back online. Vexstar stared at the human ship in stunned silence. Everything he had believed about military power had just been proven wrong. Commander, his science officer said quietly, I recommend we report this to the Supreme Commander immediately. Report what? Vexstar asked bitterly. That the most powerful fleet in Velthari space was defeated without the enemy firing a single shot on the monitoring station. Huiyanwu watched the entire event with amazement. The humans had just disabled an entire war fleet without violence. They had won a battle without fighting. Biora, he said quietly, I think we are seeing the future of warfare. Or the end of it, she replied. The demonstration, the emergency meeting of the Galactic Council, took place 12 hours after the Velthari fleet's defeat. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the Great Council Chamber on Nexus Prime. The room buzzed with nervous energy as aliens whispered to each other in dozens of languages. Council Chairman Mordock, a tall creature with silver skin and 6 eyes, called for order. His voice echoed through the chamber. We are here to discuss the human situation, he announced. Yesterday, a single human vessel disabled our most powerful military fleet without firing a weapon. We need to understand what we are dealing with. Fleet Admiral Kaijin stood to address the council. His 4 blue arms moved in patterns that showed his stress and confusion. Honorable Chairman, what we witnessed defies everything we know about physics and warfare. The human ship absorbed the energy from our weapons and used it to grow larger. It disabled our entire fleet simply by existing near them. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Many council members had heard the reports but found them hard to believe. I propose, Kaijin continued, that we request a formal demonstration of human capabilities. We need to see for ourselves what this technology can do, the council voted. Quickly, the resolution passed by a wide margin. Within hours, a message was sent to Captain Tehan aboard the Defiance. Captain Tehan received the message on his bridge. Communications Officer Hai Jin read it aloud to the crew. The Galactic Council respectfully requests a demonstration of human technological capabilities. They wish to understand the nature of our achievements. Captain Tehan was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at his crew. They want to see what we can do, he said. Should we show them, sir? Said Navigator Jun-Suk. Are we sure that is wise? Once they see our full capabilities, everything will change. Everything has already changed, Tehan replied. Question is whether we guide that change or let it happen without us. He turned to Communications Officer Hyjin. Send a reply to the Council. Tell them we agree to their request. But warn them that what they are about to witness will challenge everything they believe about the universe. 2 days later, representatives from every major species in the galaxy gathered in a safe region of space. Hundreds of ships formed a vast circle around the Defiance. Each ship was loaded with the most advanced sensors available. Dr. Yunji had come aboard the Defiance for the demonstration. She stood on the bridge wearing her white lab coat, looking excited like a child about to show off a new toy. Captain, she said, I recommend we start with something simple. Perhaps matter creation from ambient energy? Very well, Tehan said. Begin the demonstration. Dr. Yunji walked to the science station and placed her hands on the control panel. The panel began to glow with soft golden light. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, speaking to the assembled fleet, what you are about to see is the creation of matter from pure energy. We will be using ambient hydrogen atoms present in space. She closed her eyes and concentrated. On the main screen, the external cameras showed empty space in front of the Defiance. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a point of light appeared in the darkness. It was small at first, no bigger than a marble. But it grew quickly, becoming brighter and brighter. Possible, whispered the science officer aboard the Velthari flagship. They are creating a star. The point of light continued to grow until it was a small but genuine star, burning with nuclear fire. It hung in space like a tiny sun, providing light and heat to the assembled fleet. Communications Officer Hyjin translated the horrified gasps and exclamations coming from the alien ships. The languages were different, but the amazement was universal. The star is stable, Dr. Yunji announced. It will burn for approximately 1,000 years before consuming its fuel. We have just created a solar system. The alien observers sat in stunned silence. Creating a star from nothing was supposed to be impossible. It required energies that no technology could produce. Now, Captain Tehan said calmly, shall we show them something more interesting? What did you have in mind? Dr. Yunji asked. Space travel, Tehan said with a small smile. The old-fashioned way. He turned to Navigator Junsuk. Create a temporary wormhole. Let us visit the other side of the galaxy. Junsuk nodded and began working at his station. The Defiance began to change. Now, the air around the ship shimmered like heat waves. Space itself seemed to bend and twist.
What are they doing now?
Face went pale. Sir, they are manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. They are creating a tunnel through space. A hole in reality opened in front of the Defiance. It was perfectly circular and seemed to lead into infinite darkness. Through that darkness, the observers could see stars. Different stars. Stars that were on the other side of the galaxy. This is impossible, said the science officer. Wormholes require exotic matter, massive amounts of energy. Even if it could be done, it would take years to calculate the coordinates. Defiance moved forward and entered the wormhole. For a moment, it seemed to stretch and distort. Then it was gone. The alien observers waited in nervous silence. Their long-range sensors showed nothing. The human ship had simply vanished. Then, without warning, the Defiance appeared again. It emerged from the wormhole as calmly as it had entered. The entire journey had taken less than 30 seconds. We have just visited the Andromeda Galaxy, Captain Tehan announced. The journey took approximately 27 seconds. We brought back some souvenirs. The external cameras showed that. The Defiance now carried several small objects attached to its hull. They were asteroids, but they were made of materials that did not exist in the local galaxy. These rocks are from a star system 3 million light-years away, Dr. Yunji explained. We can provide detailed analysis if anyone is interested. Wormhole closed behind them, leaving no trace that it had ever existed. Space returned to its normal appearance, as if nothing had happened, but everything had happened. The aliens had just watched humans casually travel to another galaxy and back in less than a minute. My friends, Captain Tehan said, speaking to the assembled fleet, what you have witnessed today is just the beginning. Humanity has learned to work with the fundamental forces of the universe. We do not fight against physics. Collaborate with it. Dr. Yunji stepped forward. For too long, species have believed that the laws of physics are fixed and unchangeable. That is not true. The laws of physics are more like guidelines. They can be modified if you understand them well enough. How? Asked Chairman Mordok over. The communication system. How did you learn to do this? Necessity, Dr. Yunji said simply. Our planet was dying. We had to find a way to save it. Traditional science was not enough. We had to go deeper, to understand the quantum foam. That underlies all reality. And now, it's to Fleet Admiral Kaidash. Gin Captain Tehan looked out at the assembled fleet. Representatives from 47 species watched him with expressions of fear, wonder, and respect. Now, he said, we are here to join the galactic community, not as conquerors, but as partners. We have much to learn from you, and perhaps something to teach as well. The small star that Dr. Yunji had created continued to burn in the distance. It would be a reminder for centuries to come of the day when humanity announced its arrival among the stars, and on the monitoring station where it all began. Hyanwu and Bora watched the demonstration with amazement. Do you think they are telling the truth? Bora asked, about wanting to be partners instead of rulers. I hope so, Hyanwu replied. Because if they wanted to rule us, I do not think we could stop them. The demonstration was over. But the real test was just beginning. The revelation news of the human demonstration spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours, every major civilization knew about the ship that could create stars and travel instantly between galaxies. Fear began to grip the hearts of alien leaders everywhere. On the planet Sephoria, home to the peaceful moth-like creatures called the Zendari, Elder Cathera called an emergency council meeting. Her delicate wings trembled as she spoke to the gathered leaders. Brothers and sisters, she said in her soft voice, the humans have shown power beyond our understanding. If they choose to conquer us, how can we resist beings who can rewrite reality itself? Similar conversations were happening on 1,000 worlds. The crystalline hegemon considered abandoning their colonies and fleeing to distant galaxies. The machine collective began calculating the probability of their survival against reality manipulating enemies. Fear was turning into panic. Some species started building massive defense fleets. Others began preparing to surrender. A few considered destroying their own worlds rather than live under human rule. But aboard the Defiance, Captain Tehan watched these developments with sadness. He had not wanted to frighten anyone. He had only wanted to show that humanity was ready to join the galactic community as equals. Sir, Communications Officer, Hyjin reported, we are receiving thousands of messages from across the galaxy. Some are surrender offers, others are threats. Many are just pleas for mercy. Captain Tehan sighed deeply. He walked to the large window on his bridge and looked out at the stars. The small sun that Dr. Yunji had created still burned brightly in the distance. Assemble the crew, he said quietly. It is time to tell them the whole truth. An hour later, every member of the Defiance crew gathered in the main assembly hall. Captain Tehan stood before them, looking older and more tired than usual. My friends, he began, we have accomplished what we set out to do. The galaxy knows that humanity has advanced beyond their understanding, but I fear we have also terrified them. Dr. Yunji stood up from her seat. Captain, should we not be proud of what we have achieved? We have mastered the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Yes, Tehan said, but at what cost? Look, at the messages we are receiving, entire civilizations are preparing for war or surrender. They think we are here to conquer them. Chief Engineer Saw Young raised her hand. Sir, perhaps it is time to explain how we really achieved these breakthroughs. The galaxy deserves to know the truth. Tehan nodded slowly. You are right. They need to understand that our power comes not from aggression, but from desperation. activated the ship's communication system and sent a message to every major civilization in the galaxy. People of the galaxy. His voice carried across countless star systems. This is Captain Tahian of the Terran vessel Defiance. I know that our recent demonstrations have caused fear and confusion. Today I want to tell you the truth about how humanity achieved these capabilities. On millions of worlds, beings stopped what they were doing to listen. The message was being translated into every known language. 50 years ago, Tahian continued, Earth was dying. Our sun was becoming unstable due to industrial pollution in our upper atmosphere. We had perhaps 10 years before our world became uninhabitable. Dr. Yunji stepped forward to join the broadcast. Traditional science offered no solutions. We could not fix our sun with conventional technology. We could not evacuate 8 billion people to other worlds. We were facing extinction. So we did what humans do best, Tahian said. We refused to accept the impossible. Our scientists began exploring theoretical physics that other species considered too dangerous or too difficult to attempt. Chief Engineer Soyoung appeared on the broadcast. While other races focused on working within the laws of physics, humans decided to learn how those laws really worked. We discovered that reality is far more flexible than anyone imagined. Dr. Yunji explained further. The quantum foam that underlies all existence is not rigid. It can be manipulated, shaped, and directed. But this requires a complete understanding of how consciousness interacts with fundamental forces. Other species avoid this research because it is dangerous, Tahian said. Many of our early experiments failed catastrophically. We lost entire research stations. Thousands of scientists died in quantum accidents. But we had no choice, Soyoung added. Extinction was certain if we did not try. So we kept experimenting, kept pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. The broadcast continued for another hour. The humans explained how they had learned to manipulate quantum foam through focused consciousness, how they had discovered that matter and energy were just different expressions of the same underlying reality, how they had finally learned to fix their dying sun by restructuring its quantum foundation. The Defiance was our first successful implementation of this technology, Tahian explained. It is not just a ship. It is a mobile quantum laboratory. Every system aboard uses direct manipulation of fundamental forces. Dr. Yunji looked directly into the camera. But we did not stop with saving our world. We realized that this technology could benefit everyone. Disease, hunger, resource scarcity. These problems could be solved if consciousness could directly affect reality. That is why we are here, Tahian said. Not to conquer, but to share. The universe is vast enough for all of us to thrive. Security. Chief Wujin joined the broadcast for the first time. He was a quiet man who rarely spoke, but his words carried weight. I must tell you something important, he said seriously. The Defiance is not alone. Earth has constructed 7 ships like this one, but they remain in our home system. We brought only 1 ship to show peaceful intentions. This revelation sent another wave of shock across the galaxy. If the humans had 7 reality-manipulating ships, they could reshape entire star systems at will. But Wujin continued, these ships are not weapons of conquest. They are tools of creation. We use them to heal damaged worlds, to create new solar systems for colonization, to solve problems that conventional technology cannot address. Captain Tahian stepped forward again. People of the galaxy, we stand at a crossroads. Can let fear divide us, or we can work together to build something better than any of us could achieve alone. We offer partnership, not domination, Dr. Yunji said. Our technology is powerful, but it requires wisdom to use properly. Many species in this galaxy have wisdom that we lack. The broadcast was ending, but Tahian had one more thing to say. To those who fear us, we understand your concern. This great could easily be misused. That is why we propose a joint council with representatives from every species to oversee how this technology is shared and used.
Ow.
To those who wish to fight us, please reconsider.
Ow.
We have no desire for war. Violence would only delay the cooperation that could benefit everyone. And to those who are willing to trust us, thank you. Together, we can solve problems that have plagued the galaxy for millennia. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings sat in thoughtful silence. Humans had not hidden their power or made excuses for it. They had explained it honestly and offered to share it responsibly. On the monitoring station where this all began, Hyanwu and Biora watched the stars outside their window. "Do you believe them?" Biora asked. "I want to," Hyanwu replied. "But believing and trusting are different things." "What do you think will happen now?" Hyanwu was quiet for a long moment. "I think the galaxy is about to change in ways we cannot imagine. The question is whether that change will be for better or worse." Outside their window, the small star that the humans had created continued to burn. It was a symbol of what was possible when beings dared to reach beyond their limitations. The revelation was complete. Now came the hard part, deciding what to do with the truth. The new galactic order 3 months after the human revelation. The Great Assembly convened on Nexus Prime. It was the largest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from over 200 species filled the massive council chamber. Came in person, others appeared as holograms, and a few attended through quantum consciousness projection. Chairman Mordok called the assembly to order. His 6 silver eyes looked out over the crowd with a mixture of hope and nervousness. "We are here to vote on the most important decision in galactic history," he announced. "Do we accept humanity as the dominant species in our galaxy, or do we attempt to resist their technological superiority?" The debate that followed lasted for 17 hours. Some species argued for immediate surrender. Others demanded that humanity be declared a threat to galactic security, and he simply asked questions about what human dominance would mean for their people. Captain Tehan attended the assembly aboard the Defiance, which remained in orbit around Nexus Prime. He watched the proceedings with interest, but did not try to influence the debate. "Sir," Communications Officer Hai Jin asked, "should we not defend ourselves against some of these accusations?" "No," Tehan said calmly. "They need to work through their fears honestly. We cannot force trust. It must be earned." The turning point came when Elder Kithara of the Zendari spoke. Her soft voice carried clearly through the chamber, despite her small size. "Brothers and sisters," she said, "I have lived for 400 years. I have seen wars that destroyed entire star systems. I have watched species destroy themselves out of fear and pride." She paused and looked around the room. The humans could have conquered us all by now if that was their intention. Instead, they wait patiently while we debate, answer our questions honestly. They offer partnership instead of demanding submission. "But what if they change their minds?" asked the representative from the crystalline hegemon. "What if future human leaders decide to use their power differently?" Elder Cathera smiled sadly. "What if the sun stops shining tomorrow? What if gravity suddenly reverses? We cannot live our lives based on what might happen. We must judge beings by their actions, not by our fears." The debate continued, but Elder Cathera's words had changed the mood in the chamber. One by one, species began to speak in favor of accepting humanity's offer of partnership. The final vote was closer than expected. 127 species in favor, 89 opposed, and 31 abstaining, but it was enough. The Galactic Council formally recognized humanity as the leading technological power in the galaxy. Captain Tehan received the news quietly. He had hoped for a more overwhelming show of support, but he understood that trust would take time to build. "What now, sir?" asked Navigator. "Junzuk. Now we prove that their trust was well placed," Tehan replied. The next surprise came when the council asked Tehan to address them as the new galactic leader. He politely declined. "I am honored by your offer," he said via communication link, "but humanity does not seek to rule over anyone. We propose instead a partnership council with equal representation from all species." This unexpected response sent murmurs of surprise through the assembly. Most species had assumed that accepting human dominance meant accepting human rule. We suggest, Tae-Hyan continued, that major decisions be made by consensus rather than by decree. Our technology should be used to benefit everyone, not to impose the will of any single species. Chairman Mordok was so surprised that all 6 of his eyes blinked at once. You're refusing leadership of the galaxy? We are proposing something. Better than leadership, Tae-Hyan said. We are proposing true cooperation. This began a new round of discussions that lasted another week. In the end, the Council agreed to form the Partnership Assembly, with representatives from every species working together to guide galactic policy. But the real changes began to happen away from the political debates. Dr. Yoonji and her team started sharing human medical technology with alien doctors. Chief Medical Officer Su Ben had developed treatments that could extend the lifespan of any carbon-based species indefinitely. The key, Dr. Subban explained to a gathering of alien physicians, is to manipulate the quantum structure of cellular DNA directly. We can repair damage at the molecular level and prevent aging entirely. The medical breakthrough was just the beginning. Chief Engineer Saw Young began teaching quantum manipulation techniques to alien engineers who showed aptitude for the work. Not every species can learn this, she explained to her first class of alien students. It requires a specific type of consciousness that can interface with quantum foam. But those who can learn will be able to help their entire species. Classes were small at first. Only about 1 in a million beings had the right type of mind to manipulate quantum forces directly. But as word spread, volunteers came from across the galaxy. Hugh, the monitoring station operator who had first detected the Defiance, was among the first non-humans to successfully learn basic quantum manipulation. Under Soyoung's patient guidance, he learned to move small objects with focused thought. I never imagined I could do something like this, he said in amazement, as he made a pencil float in the air. Everyone has the potential, Soyoung replied. Most beings just never try because they assume it is impossible. Yor also joined the training program. Her scientific background made her a quick learner, and soon she was helping to teach others. Students, the humans are not just sharing their technology, she told Hyan-Woo one day. They are sharing the ability to create that technology. They are making us partners, not servants. Meanwhile, the practical applications of human technology began to transform the galaxy. The first joint human-alien project was the restoration of Kepler 440b, a world that had been devastated by industrial pollution centuries earlier. Working together, human and alien engineers used quantum manipulation to clean the atmosphere, restore the oceans, and bring dead soil back to life. The project took only 6 months, but it proved that the partnership could accomplish amazing things. This is what we dreamed of, Captain Tae-Hyan said, as he watched the restored world from orbit. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not dominance, but partnership. The success of the restoration project led to dozens of similar efforts across the galaxy. Dead worlds were brought back to life. Dying stars were stabilized. Species that had been on the verge of extinction were given new hope. Not every species joined the partnership immediately. Some remained suspicious of human intentions. Others were afraid that accepting human help would make them dependent on human technology. But as the benefits became clear, more and more species chose to participate. Trade flourished between worlds. Scientific knowledge was shared freely. Art and culture flowed across interstellar distances faster than ever before. 6 months after the Great Assembly, Captain Tae-Hyan stood on the observation deck of the Defiance and looked out at a galaxy that was rapidly changing. Ships powered by human-designed quantum drives carried mixed crews of humans and aliens to explore regions of space that had been unreachable before. Sir, Communications Officer Hyjin reported, we are receiving a message from Earth. The other 6 ships are ready to begin operations. Good, Taeon said. Send them coordinates for the Andromeda Galaxy. It is time to see what lies beyond our own corner of the universe. As the Defiance prepared for its next journey, Hyan-Woo and Bora watched from their monitoring station. The station had been upgraded with human technology and now served as a coordination center for interstellar cooperation projects. Do you ever regret that first day? Biora asked. When you detected the impossible readings? Hyan-Woo smiled. Never. That day changed everything for the better. Even though it ended the old way of life. Especially because it ended the old way of life, Hyenwu replied. The old way was full of fear and limitation. The new way is full of possibility. Outside their window, ships from dozens of species worked together to build a massive space station. Humans worked alongside Velthari, who worked alongside Zendari, who worked alongside dozens of other species. The old divisions based on fear and misunderstanding were slowly being replaced by cooperation based on shared goals. The Defiance began to move, heading toward a new wormhole that would take it to unexplored regions of space. But this time, it was not traveling alone. 50 ships from 20 different species accompanied it on the journey of discovery. As the fleet disappeared into the wormhole, the artificial star that Dr. Yunji had created during the first demonstration continued to burn steadily. It became a symbol of the new galaxy, bright, warm, and full of promise for the future. The age of human dominance had lasted only a few months. The age of galactic partnership had begun, and it would last for millennia to come. On 1,000 worlds, beings who had once lived in fear of the unknown now looked up at the stars with hope. The impossible had become possible. The universe was vast, but it was no longer lonely. Humanity had shocked the galaxy with technology that defied possibility. But in the end, they had given the galaxy something even more valuable: the knowledge that impossible things were just waiting for someone brave enough to try them.